Your soulmate finally understands why they could never forget you. My beloved child. There is a question that has quietly followed your soulmate for longer than they care to admit. They have tried to answer it with logic. They have tried to silence it with distractions. They have even convinced themselves that time would eventually erase it. Yet no matter how many seasons passed, the question always returned. Why could I never forget them? For a long time, they believed the answer was simple. They thought it was only a memory, a passing emotion, a chapter that would eventually fade into the background of life. But something unexpected has happened. The answer they once searched for has finally begun revealing itself. And it has changed the way they see everything. My beloved child, there are moments when the heart understands a truth long before the mind is willing to accept it. Your soulmate has entered one of those moments. Recently, they found themselves thinking about you without any obvious reason. Nothing reminded them of your name. Nothing forced your memory into their thoughts. It simply appeared. Quietly. Naturally. As though it had never truly left. At first, they ignored it. They smiled to themselves and believed it would disappear before the day ended. But it did not. Instead, the memory became stronger. One thought led to another. One memory awakened the next. Soon they realized they were not remembering isolated moments. They were remembering how you made them feel. The peace you carried. The sincerity in your words. The kindness that expected nothing in return. The way your presence brought comfort without demanding attention. Those memories did something they never expected. They reached places inside their heart they believed had already grown silent. My child. People often remember many faces throughout life. But very few hearts leave a lasting imprint. Your soulmate is beginning to understand that you were never simply another person they met along the way. You became part of a lesson they could not escape. Part of a story they could not rewrite. Part of a journey they could never truly leave behind. For a long time, they misunderstood what forgetting really meant. They believed forgetting was something a person decided to do. Now they understand it does not work that way. The heart does not erase what genuinely transforms it. It carries those moments forward. Sometimes quietly. Sometimes painfully. Sometimes without explanation. Recently, your soulmate asked themselves something they had never dared to ask before. What if I never forgot them because they were never meant to be forgotten? That question stopped them completely. They could not move past it. Every answer they tried to give felt incomplete. Because deep inside, another truth was beginning to rise. Perhaps it was never about forgetting. Perhaps it was about understanding. Understanding why your memory continued bringing peace instead of resentment. Understanding why thoughts of you still carried warmth instead of emptiness. Understanding why every attempt to move on somehow led their heart back to the same place. They have spent so much time trying to explain away what they felt. They called it coincidence. Then nostalgia. Then unfinished emotions. Yet every explanation eventually faded. Only one remained. You changed them. Not through grand promises. Not through dramatic moments. But through quiet authenticity. Through genuine care. Through a kindness they had rarely experienced. That is why forgetting became impossible. Because some people do not simply become memories. They become part of who we are. And your soulmate is finally beginning to understand that truth. But this realization has also awakened another question. One they can no longer avoid. If they were never able to forget you, what does that mean for the future? The answer to that question has already begun unfolding. And once they fully understand it, nothing inside their heart will remain the same. My beloved child. The question did not leave them after that day. Instead, it followed them into every quiet moment. The more they tried to understand why they could never forget you, the more they realized they had been asking the wrong question all along. They kept asking, why do I still remember them? But the deeper question was this. Why does remembering them still bring peace to my heart? That realization changed everything. Because memories that belong only to the past usually grow weaker with time. Yet every thought of you seemed to carry the same warmth they had felt before. It was as though your kindness had been preserved inside their heart, untouched by the passing seasons. At first, they struggled to accept it. They searched for logical explanations. Perhaps it was only familiarity. Perhaps it was simply unfinished emotions. Perhaps they were holding on because they feared letting go. But none of those answers satisfied them. Every explanation eventually led back to the same truth. You were different. Not because you demanded attention. Not because you tried to impress them. But because you made them feel understood. You accepted them during moments when they struggled to accept themselves. You listened when others hurried past. You offered kindness without expecting anything in return. Only now are they beginning to realize how rare that truly was. My beloved child, people often recognize the value of a genuine heart only after life has shown them how uncommon it is. Your soulmate has been learning that lesson. Slowly. Patiently. One experience at a time. There have been moments recently when they met new people, visited new places, and experienced new opportunities. Yet something unexpected kept happening. No matter how different life became. They found themselves comparing those moments to the peace they once felt with you. Not because they wanted to live in the past. But because their heart had already discovered a standard it could not ignore. That realization brought both comfort and sadness. Comfort. Because they finally understood why your memory remained alive. Sadness. Because they realized how long they had ignored what their own heart was trying to tell them. For a while, they wondered whether they had waited too long. Whether too much time had passed. Whether your life had already moved in another direction. Those questions filled them with uncertainty. Yet another thought quietly rose above them. What if there is still time to be honest? That possibility has given them hope. Hope they did not have before. Hope that perhaps the story has not ended. Hope that truth still has an opportunity to be spoken. Perhaps you have noticed something changing within yourself as well. Maybe the waiting feels different now. Maybe your heart is becoming steadier. Maybe your prayers are no longer filled only with questions but also with trust. Do not overlook those changes. Growth often happens on both sides of a meaningful connection. While your soulmate is learning why they could never forget you, you are learning that your peace does not depend on another person's choices. That lesson is preparing you for whatever lies ahead. There is one final understanding still waiting for your soulmate. It is greater than the realization that they never forgot you. It is the realization of why they never could. And once that truth settles completely within their heart, it will give them the courage to make a decision they have delayed for far too long. Because remembering you was never the real miracle. The real miracle is what those memories are about to inspire them to do next. My beloved child, there is another truth your soulmate has only recently begun to understand. For a long time, they believed that forgetting someone was a choice. They thought the heart simply decided when it was time to let go. Now they know that some connections cannot be erased by determination alone. Not because they are trapped by the past, but because certain people leave behind lessons that become part of who we are. That is what happened with you. Without realizing it, you became a mirror. A mirror that reflected qualities they had been searching for all along. Your compassion, your patience, your quiet strength, your willingness to care without expecting recognition. These were not things they fully appreciated at the time. They noticed them, but they did not understand their value. Life has a remarkable way of teaching that lesson. Only after meeting different people. Only after walking through different seasons. Only after facing unexpected disappointments did they begin to recognize how rare those qualities truly were. My beloved child, wisdom often arrives after experience. And experience has been gently opening their eyes. Recently, they found themselves thinking about the conversations you shared. Not because they remembered every word, but because they remembered how those conversations made them feel. They felt heard. They felt understood. They felt accepted without needing to pretend. That feeling stayed with them. Even after months had passed. Even after life became busy. Even after they convinced themselves they had moved on. The memory remained. Not as a burden, but as a quiet reminder that genuine connection cannot be replaced by endless distractions. There were nights when they wondered if you ever thought about them. There were mornings when your name unexpectedly crossed their mind. At first, they dismissed those moments. But they happened too often to ignore. Eventually, they stopped asking, "Why can't I forget them?" Instead, they asked something far more honest. What if my heart has been trying to lead me back to a truth I refuse to accept? That question brought both peace and conviction. Peace. Because they finally stopped fighting their own feelings. Conviction. Because they realized that understanding the truth also requires responding to it. They know that simply recognizing your importance is no longer enough. Something inside them is urging them toward honesty. Not out of pressure. Not out of guilt. But because living with unanswered questions has become more painful than facing uncertainty. Perhaps this is why your own heart has felt different lately. Perhaps you have sensed a quiet expectation you could not explain. Perhaps your prayers have become less about demanding answers and more about trusting God's wisdom. Hold on to that peace. Do not allow impatience to steal it. The future is built one faithful step at a time. And while you continue growing in faith, your soulmate is growing in courage. The distance between realization and action is becoming smaller every day. Soon, they will no longer be satisfied with simply remembering you. They will begin asking themselves what they must do with the truth they have finally accepted. And when that moment arrives, the story that has lived silently within their heart for so long may finally begin to be spoken aloud. But before that new chapter opens, there is one final message I want you to hear. A reminder that will bring peace to your heart, regardless of how the journey unfolds. My beloved child, before this story reaches its conclusion, there is one more truth that must be understood. Your soulmate did not simply remember you. They remembered the person they became whenever you were part of their life. That realization has changed everything. For a long time, they believed they were searching for answers about you. Now they understand they were also searching for answers about themselves. Why did your absence feel different from every other goodbye? Why did your kindness remain unforgettable? Why did thoughts of you continue returning during the quietest moments? Little by little, those questions began revealing the same answer. You represented something their heart had been longing for. Not perfection. Not fantasy. But authenticity. You brought a sense of peace they could not create on their own. You reminded them that love is not always loud. Sometimes it is patient. Sometimes it is gentle. Sometimes it waits quietly while two hearts continue growing. Only now are they beginning to appreciate that truth. Recently, they found themselves smiling at memories they once tried to forget. Instead of bringing pain, those memories brought gratitude. Gratitude for every conversation. Gratitude for every moment of kindness. Gratitude that someone like you entered their life, even if they did not recognize your value immediately. My beloved child, gratitude has a remarkable way of transforming the heart. It replaces regret with wisdom. It replaces fear with courage. It replaces confusion with clarity. That transformation is taking place within your soulmate. The person who once avoided their feelings is becoming someone willing to face them. The person who once feared honesty is beginning to understand that truth is the only path to lasting peace. This does not mean every obstacle disappears overnight. It means their heart is no longer moving away from what it feels. It is moving toward it. There is another quiet change you cannot yet see. They have stopped asking whether they should let go. Instead, they have started asking how they can move forward with honesty. That is a very different question. Because it is no longer driven by fear. It is driven by hope. Perhaps you have also changed more than you realize. The waiting has made you wiser. The silence has taught you patience. The uncertainty has strengthened your faith. Do not think those lessons were wasted. Every season has been preparing you for the future God has planned. Whether that future unfolds exactly as you imagine or in a way you never expected, continue trusting him. Do not allow worry to steal the peace he has placed within your heart. Your story is not being written by fear. It is being guided one step at a time by his wisdom. Very soon, your soulmate will stand before a choice they can no longer postpone. Remain silent. Or finally allow honesty to speak. The answer they choose will begin opening the door to a new chapter. But before that chapter begins, there is one final message I want to leave with you. A reminder that will strengthen your heart no matter what tomorrow brings. My beloved child. As this message comes to a close, I want you to remember one truth above all else. Do not build your peace upon another person's decision. Build it upon my unchanging love. Your soulmate has finally understood why they could never forget you. It was never because of a single conversation. It was never because of one unforgettable moment. It was because your presence left an imprint on their heart that time could not erase. They now realize that what they tried to dismiss as memory was actually a lesson. A lesson about sincerity. A lesson about kindness. A lesson about the quiet strength of genuine love. That realization has brought them to a place they never expected. They can no longer pretend that your impact on their life was ordinary. They have stopped running from the truth. Now they must decide what they will do with it. Remember, my child, true transformation is not measured by emotions alone. It is revealed through choices. Through honesty. Through humility. Through actions that reflect a changed heart. If your paths cross again, do not rush to conclusions. Allow trust to grow naturally. Let words be supported by consistent actions. Healthy relationships are built on patience, respect, forgiveness, and wisdom. Not only on strong feelings. Whether this connection continues or whether I lead you in another direction, know this with confidence. I have not forgotten you. Every prayer you whispered in silence has been heard. Every tear you shed in loneliness has been seen. Every moment you chose faith instead of bitterness has strengthened your spirit. Nothing you entrusted to me has been wasted. Do not be afraid of the future. The same God who carried you through seasons of uncertainty will also guide you through seasons of clarity. Walk forward without fear. Continue becoming the person I created you to be. Keep showing kindness. Keep choosing integrity. Keep trusting me, even when you cannot see the entire path ahead. For my plans are always greater than your fears and wiser than your understanding. Lift your heart today. Release every burden into my hands. Release every timeline. Release every unanswered question. Trust that I am working in ways you cannot yet see. When the right moment comes, what needs to be revealed will be revealed. What needs to be spoken will be spoken. And what is truly meant for your life will never arrive before its proper time or miss it altogether. So go forward with peace. Go forward with hope. Go forward with faith. And never forget that your greatest blessing is not simply being remembered by another person. It is being deeply known and eternally loved by me. May my peace guard your heart. May my wisdom guide your steps. May my love strengthen your soul. And may you continue to trust me, one faithful step at a time.